Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Two Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I want to talk to you guys about something I saw down in the comment section of the chapter 3 review, which is there were some of you guys who were raising a question about Ada's omnipotence and whether or not there are actually more people who are unaffected by the omnipotence shinjutsu. And I was intrigued enough by this discussion, I want to bring it to the greater community and see where you guys' head is on this topic, because number one, you guys tend to have some very well thought out responses, and number two, there may or may not be something to this question that's being posed that we're going to discuss here. With omnipotence, it's easily one of the most hands down overpowered abilities we've seen in the entire Naruto franchise. Whereas people used to say Koto Matsukami Shisui's Mangekyo's Sharingan ability was the most broken jutsu because it stripped away free will and it made the targets do things they believe were of their own choice, when it was really at the direction of the person who casted Koto Matsukami. Ada's omnipotence shinjutsu is just in a different league. When this jutsu is casted, it makes the desires of the Otsutsuki who commands her to use it to actually come true, which in this case was Kawaki's desire for things to be different, for him to be viewed as the son of Naruto, and then you had Boruto being viewed as the outsider who killed Naruto. With the simple manipulation of chakra to distort the memories of those affected by it, everything they associate with Boruto and Kawaki becomes switched in, whatever irregularities that exist, like for instance Kawaki being a cyborg and having Ishiki's powers, things that Naruto's son shouldn't have. The shinjutsu strips away that ability to think critically and question what it is that they're seeing. They're just told accept the truth as they're being told, and ultimately as more time passes they do just that. Hence why 3 years later in Boruto Two Blue Vortex we have people like Shikamaru and Konohamaru, people who have known Naruto since childhood and saw him raise Boruto and Himawari. They don't question the idea that Kawaki is Naruto's son, they just accept it. And if you're still confused about how omnipotence shinjutsu works, I have a whole video explaining it down to a T. However, one thing that we've seen with this shinjutsu is that there are those who are exceptions to the rule that is applied to the shinjutsu. According to what we've been told, the ones who are exempt from the effects of the shinjutsu are the ones who are Otsutsuki like Boruto and Kawaki, blood relatives of the caster, as is the case with Damon since he's Ada's brother. But we also have anomalies in the form of Sarada and Sumire, who due to unconfirmed and unknown reasons are immune to the omnipotence shinjutsu. Unless we think Sakura and Sumire's mother had secret affairs with the parents of Damon and Ada, by the laws of the shinjutsu as we're told, there's no reason why they should be immune to the shinjutsu. It's something that Ada herself questions about Sarada and Sumire, directly asking them if they are really under her charm and control and why they still possess their memories. What we see here is that Ada's knowledge of the omnipotence is absolutely limited, despite she herself being the caster of this, and it's not because she's an unreliable narrator. That's not the case. She merely knows what Boruto told her, and all that Boruto knows directly comes from Momoshiki, who himself has not always been the most reliable narrator. Momoshiki, when it comes to things that have happened with Otsutsuki lore, has been a bit of a hit or miss character, despite the fact that he himself is an Otsutsuki and possesses knowledge of all things shinjutsu. For instance, he himself did not know it was possible for a former vessel in Kawaki to reawaken the Karma Seal when he saw Kawaki use Karma to save Naruto from his giant Rasengan attack, and his immediate thought was to blame Amato for what it is he saw, immediately asking how Amato pulled something like this off. As he heard Amato explain the powers of Ada and Damon in Boruto chapter 75, his immediate thought was that Amato was lying about Ada's powers, saying that the Shinrigan, i.e. her dojutsu, that is a shinjutsu, but everything else that Amato said about her powers was another lie, until he thought further about what it was he was told about her powers, and he came to the conclusion as to what the true nature of her powers were: omnipotence. When he used his future sight omnipotence to see the future where Boruto would lose everything, he saw a future where Boruto fall into despair and give up a permanent control of his body to Momoshiki, which obviously didn't happen. What we see here, particularly with the last 2 points, is that Momoshiki, despite all his knowledge, despite all his power, Momoshiki can and has been wrong. He's been wrong often. With Ada's powers, it took him a minute to figure out why it was he was wrong, because he had to cross-reference the powers of her charm and control with other shinjutsu and see how they could correlate with one another, which is how he settled on omnipotence being her power and being correct. With the change that he saw in the future with Boruto, where he gives up control to Momoshiki, Momoshiki didn't account for the fact that the future isn't always set in stone. There are points in time where decisions can be made that lead to different outcomes. Like for instance, I do Naruto what ifs, change a couple decisions characters make, and then that's how you get the Naruto what ifs. Boruto's strength, in particular his strength of mind, was too strong for Momoshiki, and it did not result in the outcome that Momoshiki desired, which pissed him off to no end and led to him shouting at Boruto as a result. There is always a chance that Momoshiki was wrong when he listed out the different types of people who were immune to the shinjutsu. At the time, he said it made no sense why the Uchiha brat, i.e. Sarada, was immune, yet unbeknownst to him, Sumire was immune as well. What we see here is that Momoshiki might know every shinjutsu and its powers, but there are still aspects about the shinjutsu and how they relate to humans that Momoshiki isn't aware of, which makes a lot of sense. Humans, to Otsuki, they're nothing more than mere fertilizer for chakra fruit that they view as nourishment. They go planet to planet, they seek out other planets to harvest, they destroy most of life on the planet, and then they move on. They never have any reason to think and ask themselves about what are the effects of the shinjutsu they use to subjugate a planet before harvesting the chakra fruit. They just accomplish their goals and they move on. It's no different than you and I sitting down to eat a burger. Most people don't think about a burger and say to themselves, I wonder how the cow was affected before this. Sure, there might be some vegetarians or vegans who watch this and go, wait, I think about that cow, but exceptions to the rule don't make the standard. The majority of people, they eat meat, and it's likely a majority don't think about the animal before they eat the meat they consume. It's nourishment for the body for people like me who only eat to repair muscles after working out, and it's a delicacy to people who just enjoy food, i.e. foodie. Side note, while I research the foods I eat and make sure there isn't mistreatment of the animals before they're turned into food, I know I'm a statistical minority, just like Sarada and Sumire are statistical anomalies when it comes to being immune to the shinjutsu. Most people are affected by it. Momoshiki might know all shinjutsu of existence, but this lack of comprehension about humans in this regard does open up the door to start posing questions as to if there are more people immune to the shinjutsu omnipotence. Momoshiki is arrogant enough to think that he's right about everything in this regard, but that is a tragic flaw to his character. He doesn't realize that he can be well versed in everything shinjutsu and not realize there's another level to the shinjutsu that he's not aware of, despite him being an Otsuki. To use myself as an example, I've done roughly 2,000 videos on this channel. Most of them are Naruto lore videos and Naruto manga discussion videos. Roughly 65% is non-Boruto content on the channel, which, side note, anyone calling me Boruto Explain can suck one, numbers don't lie, but I make it a point to never stop learning about Naruto and the inspirations behind the lore and the characters. I make it a point to pay for translations to novels such as the Garhida novel that aren't officially in English so I can get the information to make it into videos. I'm not arrogant enough to think I know everything there is about Naruto, despite the name Naruto Explained, which I chose after briefly losing KRYPTONIAN Saiyan, where I had a Naruto Explained playlist. I made this channel to make people know, hey, I'm back doing Naruto content. It's called Naruto Explained. That was my playlist. Which, if you love other series besides Naruto, you should totally subscribe to that KRYPTONIAN Saiyan channel, cheap plug aside. So the difference between myself and someone like Momoshiki, that's the difference. He doesn't continue to learn by choice. He's arrogant enough to think he knows everything there is about shinjutsu, whereas I'm constantly willing to learn. It's for that reason I do think you guys might be onto something here regarding there being more people immune to the omnipotent shinjutsu, because one thing that we've seen with Momoshiki is that there are exceptions to the rule that he has not factored in when he was speaking to Boruto, who then relayed that information to Ada. If there are more people unaffected by shinjutsu, it wouldn't shock me. One person in particular who I do think we need to keep our eyes on is Orochimaru, since he does have the body of a Zetsu, but given that Mitsuki is a direct clone of Orochimaru and he is affected by the shinjutsu, it's more probable than not that Orochimaru is affected as well. But I am curious to know how you guys feel about this. Do you think that there are more people who are immune to the shinjutsu, or do you think it's just Sarada and Sumire as exceptions to the rule? While you think that over, click here to watch these other Naruto Explain videos.